Pokemon Unite is a great game, but it completely lies to new players for a pretty nefarious reason. I've been playing quite a lot of Pokemon Unite over the past month, but the game does something that I think is just icky, a little immoral, and just stupid, and I feel like I have to talk about it. But before that, what actually is Pokemon Unite? Pokemon Unite is a free-to-play, multiplayer online battle arena video game developed by Team Studio Group and published by the Pokemon Company for Android, iOS, and for Nintendo Switch. It is actually a MOBA. MOBA is quite a vague genre these days, with many different game types actually fitting into it, like Overwatch, which is a hero multiplayer shooter game. But Pokemon Unite is actually a traditional MOBA. And by that I mean, it's a very dumbed down version of League of Legends. Rather than destroying enemy towers like League of Legends or Smite or other MOBAs, the game has rings which you have to score into to push back your opponent, and you gather Pokeballs which you put into the rings by defeating wild Pokemon and opponents. That's essentially it. There's no item builds or anything like that going into the game. You get stronger by just defeating your opponent's wild Pokemon. It levels you up and you upgrade your abilities that you use in game to defeat opponents. And you know what? The game is very fun. There's lots of Pokemon you can play as, lots of different classes that the Pokemon are divided into, and your Pokemon evolve as you play through each game, which is great, usually at level 5 and 8 I believe, or 4 and 7, something like that. The games are a lot shorter than other MOBAs. They only last 10 minutes maximum. I haven't played a game yet that's actually lasted the full 10 minutes. So you can pick it up and you can play a game here and there, and it's way faster than games like League of Legends Wild Rift, which is 15 to 25 minutes a game. But like most MOBAs, this game still requires quite a high skill level and knowledge level of MOBA combat and tactics. And because of that, most players who are picking it up will find it difficult, but I didn't, and that's not because I'm a good player at all. It's not. Yes, I understand MOBAs. I've got about 250 hours playing Smite, probably about 50 hours playing League of Legends Wild Rift, which I absolutely love. It's fantastic. The best mobile game, I would say that's out. But the reason why it was so easy for me is because there's so many bots in every single game, and they are hidden, and the game doesn't tell you there's bots there. Now I'm going to explain my experience and how I think it's such an issue for Pokemon Unite. So there's only 4 game modes. You've got your custom match, which you can create your own matches. You have quick match, which it tells you it's always PvE, so you're always playing against the computer, and they only last 4 to 6 minutes. You then have casual match, and I'm level 15 in the game, so I don't know if it changes as you progress to a higher level, but essentially you can only pick between a random match or a CPU match. Now, my understanding was that, well, if I choose a random match, then it's not always going to be a PvE situation against bots. And of course, there is a ranked match. Now, before I get to the ranked match, when I was playing casual and I was playing quick, I was absolutely slaying. Like, I was cleaning up house. Like, we're talking 20 kills, no deaths every single game. And I was like, maybe this is bots, okay? This has got to be bots, because this isn't how MOBAs work. Not for me, not of my skill level. Guys, I know my skill level, and I'm not the type of guy who plays a MOBA and gets 20 kills and no deaths. I mean, I wish that was me, but it's just not me. So I thought, yeah, you know what? Clearly the casual is for bots only. So I tried ranked, and the problem with ranked is, again, ranked is full of bots, and it just breaks it completely. So in ranked mode, you start at the beginner class. There's 3 or 4 levels within it, and then you move on to great, and so on and so forward. I'm in the great now. That's when it hit me that I was clearly playing against bots. So the first 12 matches of my ranked, I won every single game, and again, I was slaying. I was like the poke god. Me, my Dragonite, me, my Snorlax, me, my Blaziken, me, my Machamp were literally melting enemies. I did initially think I wasn't playing against bots, because ranked mode makes you wait sometimes, 30 seconds to 40 seconds to get a full game. And that's pretty common in MOBAs. And with it being on the Nintendo Switch, I thought there may be just a younger audience playing it. People who don't understand MOBAs, who are playing their first MOBAs and not really knowing what's going on. And that's why I was still absolutely slapping. I made my way through the entire rank of beginner without dying once. And I was actually getting bored. I'm not gonna lie. I was getting pretty bored as someone who doesn't have loads of experience, but I'm not necessarily a beginner. I'm not an intermediate, but I'm not a beginner at MOBAs. And I was bored of how easy it was. And I just thought, these players are so bad, or they are bots. And I actually researched how to tell if you're facing bots or not. And it's things like they all don't run out of the starting area straight away. And I was like, well, they are doing that, so maybe it is players. And they've all got different random names that look legit, but they're clearly not, because when you get to the great class and you play your first couple of games, it hits you very hard that you are definitely playing against real players. But why do you have to win 12 ranked matches, which comes in at 120 minutes, 2 hours of gameplay on a mobile game, to actually be in a situation where your ranked matches actually become ranked matches and you're actually facing other players to get a real rank. I think this is a big problem, and I think the creators didn't do it for the best reasons, which I'm going to go into in a moment, but it creates a situation where when you get actually into the great class, it's a bit of a shock in terms of difficulty. And I've played a handful of games and I've still been doing pretty well, but I'm finding that there's such a disparity in skill level that it feels like you've actually taken a step back. Some people are just running absolutely madness, don't know what they're doing, and others are incredibly good. It creates this extreme disparity where you have these people who don't know how to play a MOBA game, and they've just won 12 ranked matches in a row, and they come into their next class up thinking they know how to play the game, and they get absolutely destroyed and put off by the game. Then you have the people who won't know how to play MOBAs or just have actually taken the time to learn the game, and then they are still finding it too easy and frustrating. My kill death ratio in these games has been 4 or 5 or higher, and I've still lost games because everyone else just doesn't know what they're doing, and it becomes really frustrating, and it ruins the experience for both people because the new people don't know why it's so hard all of a sudden, because the game doesn't tell you that now you're facing players. You're supposed to be facing players throughout all of ranked. I just don't think it's fair on anybody, because if the first 12 games, 15 games of ranked are going to be against the computer, why don't they just make it so you have to be level 10 to start ranked? So you have to play casual and get experience against the bots. This beginning class feels like it's made in a way to convince people to keep playing the game and convince them they're actually better than what they are. I think it is done for an unethical reason. I think it's done just so people keep playing the game and they keep buying skins until they realize the game is too hard for them. A lot of people who play Pokemon games, this game is too hard for them. It's really competitive and really difficult because MOBAs are. So the developers want to keep you playing for that extra 5 to 10 hours before you realize that actually it is really difficult. It seems completely wrong that they're tricking new players into thinking they're progressing through the ranks against other players when the reality is they aren't. They really aren't. They're just playing casual mode, which is masked as ranked mode, just so they can be convinced to keep playing. You know what, Nintendo haven't come out and said this, and I did a bit of reading and I tried to figure out if it was just me who found this. But no, it tends to be the case that beginner classes, yes, there may be a couple of players in, but most of the time, it's all bots. Is it a bit of a conspiracy theory that they've done this just to keep people playing before they realise they aren't good enough for the game? Yeah, I do think so. But I think those new players who actually get that great rank and actually go against other players will be hit with a shock. It was still a shock for me because I did generally think that maybe there's a bot or two in it, but it must be just really, really unskilled players. I'm going to paint a little fictional scenario which has actually happened to me many times, so it's not fictional. You're level 10. You're a little bit higher level than the average character because you've actually been farming correctly. So you make your way down your lane and you come across an opponent who's only level 6. You've got 4 levels on him. Your abilities hit harder, your attack hits harder, you can take more damage. This opponent is going to do one of two things. One, a skilled player will think, holy crap, there's no way I can take on someone who's 4 levels higher than me. I'm going to sit around my little base and I'm not going to press them because if I do, they will kill me in 3 hits. And that's what I would do. And that's what most players with a little bit of MOBA experience would do. Or you have the alternative, which is just to throw a Hail Mary and charge them, regardless that they are 4 levels higher than you and you're probably on reduced health because you haven't went for a health item, and then get splattered instantly. And I would say that is about 50% of what's going to happen. So half the players will run into you like absolute madmans thinking they are Vikings charging you down and that they are the underdogs. It doesn't matter that you're higher level, they can still take you, and you're literally a level 10 Dragonite and they're a level 5 or 4 Charmander, and you're like, yeah bro, I'm going to absolutely decimate you. And that's what happens, and it must be hard for them. They must be not understanding why it's going on, but this shouldn't be happening in the middle of the rankings and ranked mode. It should be happening in a beginner class, not against bots. So these players have obviously thought, oh, I'm on half health, I'll just charge them, because that's what worked really well in beginner class, because they were bots. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm being too harsh on it, because actually I love the game. It's fantastic. I just don't agree with the ranking system and how it treats players coming in, new players to MOBAs. It just doesn't treat them well. It just lures them into a false sense of security, and then they get smashed for it. You know what? I've been sweating MOBAs for quite some time now, and I did not need a false sense of security to get my ass kicked. If my first MOBA was Pokemon Unite and I wanted to take it seriously, I honestly think it would have put me off playing MOBAs. Despite the fact that the game is a really good intro to MOBAs, it's just the way it's been handled that kind of ruins it for new players. Let me know what you think, because I don't know if maybe I'm just reading too much into this. But anyway, peace.